All right, well, welcome everyone. We are Team 10. We're so excited to be here. And today we will present to you our presentation regarding new life tier back catalogs.
Thank you, Carrington. So we created a business-to-business consulting agency called Reviralize, which will bring new life to catalog music. First, let's define what catalog music is. The industry standard says it's any song that's more than 18 months old. Copyright ownership is very valuable. If you own the copyright, you can leverage it through a variety of means, including reproduction, distribution, public performance, and making covers and displaying the work publicly. Let's talk about the current state of the catalog market. At least $5 billion was spent on catalog music and music rights acquisitions in 2021, according to Music Business Worldwide. Companies that made acquisitions in the past year include Warner Music Group, Sony Music Group, Concord, as well as individual catalogs being sold by artists and songwriters like Bruce Springsteen recently did with Sony Music Group. As far as the state of catalog in 2022, in January of 2022, MRC Data issued its end of year report with numbers for catalog versus current consumption, which has increased year over year since 2020 by 100 million streams. MRC Data says that 69.8% of the catalog share is the total album consumption in the United States. We are presenting a case study for two artists, one that is current and one that is a catalog artist. Our current artist is Måneskin, a glam, alternative, and pop rock band from Rome, Italy, influenced by 1970s rock. And our catalog artist is In Excess, a new wave and dance rock band from Sydney, Australia, popular in the 1980s and 90s. We selected rock for our case study because not only of the recent trend of Billboard Hot 100 songs featuring guitar, but there's also been a 12.2% increase in total consumption of rock. Måneskin has been successful at leveraging their social media as a tool for promotion, and due to the recent resurgence of rock, In Excess is well positioned to make that resurgence.
So with these insights and this data, we wanted to get an understanding of the current audience breakdown for each of these two groups, which we can see here with this particular graphic. Måneskin has a very large female representation as well as the general Gen Z demographic, and In Excess is a little bit less pronounced in each of those areas. So what we want to do with our next slide here is try to establish some sonic trends that could connect each of these together. So we want to essentially, as written here, set the vibe. So we essentially pulled current songs using Chartmetric API related to Måneskin's general sound and try to get a good understanding of what sort of emotions they evoke in the music and translates to the audience. So we noticed large sentiments of very powerful messaging, very high level of excitement and overall energy level. And through just a very simple classification that we made, we found with this training data that In Excess's best song that meets these characteristics is Need You Tonight. So going into our next slide here, looking at TikTok and how you can evaluate current cultural trends of both the digital and physical space and how they evolve sort of staying power for these particular tracks. We can see with Måneskin and their Eurovision 2021 win, how much that caused a great spike in their overall performance and also led to a significant long tail curve referencing some staying power. And we could see similar things for In Excess as well with their Euphoria placement. So with this information, I wanted to speak a little bit to sort of the methods of content that we can use to pair these people together. So one, we wanted to encourage collaborations between both Måneskin and In Excess here through the forms of informational content about the new group, where you would place In Excess audio content into like an interview or podcast. That's going to help bring In Excess into the forefront. And we also want to specifically mention as well, tapping into archive accounts on TikTok that reference older nostalgic aesthetics We saw a lot of things referencing chill wave, vaporwave, and synthwave, and how imagery can influence a lot of that nostalgia we're trying to evoke. So we want to channel that for this particular artist. So just quickly closing things off, we want to connect the audience, artists from both new and old, present and catalog, and the attributes together into the forefront currently. For this project, some limitations are the initial training data we set to determine the mood. Also, some limitations on artist collaborations here across various labels. Lastly, trying to make this a genre agnostic solution.
Time is up, guys. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you.
That was an excellent presentation. I got to do that one first time. I'm glad to see it again. And judges, you have time now for questions.
I have one. How do you see this business model scaling across artists or different labels?
I could kind of see thinking forward here. I think with expansion of the actual algorithm and data set that will work, or that we're trying to work outside of just this particular subgenre, I think once the training data is properly evaluated and a good matching system is created to also connect the results of these content campaigns, connecting it back to the initial links there, those stronger connections, I think, could build a good enough proprietary data model, which we can see in other industries. Just the data itself is a viable product in its own, but I think presenting a good matching system algorithmically with a large training set of data will make it viable across different genres and different applications for bringing these back catalogs into the current sphere. And I really think that's the way to position this particular consultancy, but also the core product, which is connecting the data and evoking those emotions that people felt before to people who actually didn't feel that because they weren't born yet. So that's really what we're trying to capture here. And I think it's going to be a huge movement for the music industry going forward to capture those sentiments.
Great. I think we can do one more question from the judges.
I was going to ask a question. So very cool presentation. I'm interested in if you can match the music from the catalog music emotionally to sort of a more recent catalog. How do you select from that back catalog, which is the diamond in the rough? Like out of the whole back catalog, how are you knowing which ones to really promote, really push to your clients?
I think a lot of it is going to be based off of those emotional designations that are, in this case, we use Museo API for that. That's going to be a huge thing. Some other metrics could also point to if they connected on a viral scale previously, if they charted pretty well with an older demographic, that also is going to be serving as a good introduction because it's going to be a connecting point for youth with older figures in their life who will want to showcase them that music. I'm thinking as well of like the most recent Super Bowl performance we just saw in Los Angeles. There's so many people that probably hadn't listened to Snoop Dogg as like a primary part of their weekly listenership, but they're watching that in a family setting. Their parents probably went crazy, and that's kind of bringing Snoop Dogg into the new market, which I know a lot of other presenters talked about, what he's doing strategically to bring older back catalog for Death Row into the new sphere. So I think through cultural interactions like that and exchanges of people who grew up at different times, really grasping that and capturing all that value through the nostalgic imagery is going to be the key thing there.